This is more than a podcast, people. It is a place where heritage and innovation can meet, where future generations can see themselves reflected. You all look around at all these beautiful young people here on this day at this bash, okay? Black in the Saddle was created so that we can see ourselves. If you'd like to connect with this platform or listen to past episodes or stay updated on upcoming events, we want you all to visit www.blkinthesaddle.com. Now, today's panel is an opportunity to hear directly from Black equestrians about their journeys, about their joy, about the challenges, and the lessons that they have learned along the way. And remember, this dialogue doesn't just celebrate their individual stories. It also connects to the mission of the Stand Foundation, okay? So thank you all for coming here today to stand up with us, to ensure that young people have opportunities to step into their traditions with confidence and with pride. Without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to Abriana Johnson herself. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just pause for a second and give a round of applause. Let me hear some voices. Let me hear some claps and some energy for Abriana Johnson.
Wow, that was so good. Oh, is that too close? Okay, all right. She gonna turn this down, I'm gonna see. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see y'all. Hey, y'all. Oh, that's good. That's good. What an amazing introduction. Thank you so much. I'm gonna see how close I can get. All right, perfect. Is that? It's good? Oh, well, we might have to see it. Y'all can just step up forward a little bit. There we go. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to come out and share Black in the Saddle with the Stand Foundation. I'm so excited to be here, so grateful for Penny Selena for getting us involved with this. Thankful for the City Ranch for letting us use this beautiful space. Black in the Saddle is about acknowledging the impact and the influence of Black people on the horse industry. So we're gonna talk with a few guests here who are Black equestrians. They represent different disciplines, different spaces in the equestrian timeline. They're in different places in their journey. So we're gonna hear a little bit about them and how they've gotten where they are. So I am going to hand this off for our guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll get some questions rolling. So Tiombe, if you can just share a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Tiombe Vaughn.
Hold the brace.
There we go.
There you go.
Tiombe Vaughn. I'm from Waldorf, Maryland, and originally from Queens, New York. And I've had horses for 24 years now.
A little bit closer to your mouth.
Yep, here.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Oh, okay.
There we go.
Hey guys, I'm Sydney Steverson. I'm originally from Chicago, and I just moved out here, a couple months ago. And
Really?
Yes, yes, and I'm a 3-day eventer with my horses out here competitively for about 5 or so years.
You might have to step this way. I'm sorry. There you go.
Hello everyone, I'm Morse Hall. I own a few horses, but I don't own a few horses. These horses belong to my daughter, Marissa Hall. She is the previous Maryland High School rodeo queen. She's actually the first rodeo queen of color for the state of Maryland. And she is the first equestrian full-time state champion during high school. And Abriana.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to start with our first question. What is one of the most defining moments within your equestrian journey? I know we have 2 people who ride and a parent of one who rides. I'm sure you still have a defining moment, whether or not it's something that Marissa did or how you had to show up for her. If you could just share one of the most defining moments in your equestrian journey, that would be great.
You just want to go first? Okay. I'll try to make it short. I can be long-winded.
Yes.
one of Marissa's first rodeos, right? She had never ridden horses first rodeo. She fell off the horse. Luckily, she had a helmet on, head first. She cried, fell apart, wanted to go back to the trailer. I said, please, sweetie, let's just give it a shot. It's your first try. She didn't quit. She stuck with it, came back for the second round, ran the fastest time of the show.
Wow.
So that's testimony to how it's going to be tough when you've never done something before, when it's your first time. But just because it's hard doesn't mean you should quit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I guess a defining moment for me would be getting my first stud colt and showing him halter class.
Can you tell us what a stud colt is?
Yeah, so a stud colt would be like his future is to be a stallion, a performance horse, but also a stallion to bring, send, I guess, bring along his genetics so that he, like horses, where he's a Spanish Mustang, so we breed Spanish Mustangs, and they're a very rare breed. They're in critical numbers. We're maybe looking at 5,000 horses in the U.S. now. So because he's a critical breed that's getting ready to become endangered. He's I've looked for him in particular to kind of bring on the breed to improve it and make it more of the Spanish type that we're all looking for in the Spanish Mustang in the registry, and to bring on those bloodlines. He has the right temperament, the right the right conformation, which is just his build. Everything about him is grade A. I would say grade A.
Awesome.
So I showed him halter class for the first time last year, and he got first and second place. So, and it being, with other quarter horses, and he's a Spanish Mustang, so he's half their size at 2 years old. So, it's crazy that we won first and second place. So that was a really big defining moment for us.
Awesome.
Gosh, there's so many, especially with horses. Probably my big defining moment was when I won first place up at Otter Creek, up in an open class against a bunch of professionals. And I, at that moment was I think I can do this. I think I can actually do this. And so that was, on my mare that I had trained myself, that was a huge, huge moment for me.
Yeah. You can keep the mic. What encourage you to choose the discipline that you're in?
So I chose eventing when I was a little girl. I saw eventing on TV, the Sydney Olympics, ironically, watching it at 3 a.m. with my mom, and I was that's all I've ever wanted. That's what I want to do. That looks like so much fun. They were jumping through brushes and over logs and through water, and I was that looks incredible. That looks like the most fun a person can have, and it turns out it is. So that's why I chose eventing.
Yep, so the discipline, I started with English when I was little and then went on to Western now. So I'm kind of getting more into the ranch and reining style of things just for the Spanish Mustangs. So they can be all-rounders. It depends on the strain of the bloodlines that you choose. They can either go the one who started it all, my 26-year-old, he's half Spanish Mustang and went on to training level eventing, and then did 100 paces with him, did team penning randomly. So they're an all-rounder breed, but the ones that I'm zeroing in on are the ones that are more of the ranchy type, can do a spin on a dime. They can definitely spin. So we're looking at reining.
Nice.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, after 8 years of gymnastics, she decided she would never do anything judged again. So she decided to do all timed events. And that's pretty much the reason why. She didn't want to be judged. And she would say, pay for someone else's opinion.
Facts. That's the same reason.
That is the same reason why I don't, and that's why you'll find me in the woods, riding on a trail, right? I have a Tennessee walking horse, so we go long and we go slow.
Right.
Oh, actually, it's kind of fast, but it's smooth.
Sure.
Smooth. So how has being a Black equestrian influenced the way that you see the horse industry and your place in the industry?
Anybody want to take that first? Force you to go down the line.
I think one of the great things about being black and being an equestrian is, for better for worse, we know what hardship feels like. We know what it feels like to get hit and get back up again, and that's what this industry is. It's a lot of getting hit and getting back up again, and I find that I'm able to bounce back sometimes faster than my friends who aren't black because they're just not used to that kind of punishment, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But like, I'm really strong and I'm really resilient because of the circumstances of my life, and in a way I'm grateful for that. And within the industry, I feel like a sense of responsibility to always represent myself and my horse correctly and with integrity, and in a way that I think helps benefit the industry for future generations, for everybody, to make it sustainable, because it is an industry that I do really love and I think could be incredible.
Yeah.
I guess it would be just, it's hard being a black person in the horse industry. You do get a lot of backlash, a lot of the weird looks and different treatment, but it's that resilience that our people have. Like Sydney said, we're used to bouncing back. We're used to coming back and hitting them where it hurts and winning those classes, those shows, and showing them that we can do it too. So I think, like Sydney said, it's like we're upholding the industry for the next generation. So we want to show them that you can do it. Don't listen to the naysayers. Horses neigh, but the naysayers, don't listen to them. Like, you can do it. Like, you can put your mind to it, even if you're coming from a background. Like, we came from Queens, New York, with no horse background. So I came from a background, no horses, no nothing, and only horse I've seen were pony rides. And that was what got my heart into it, was the pony rides, because I wanted to see that horse again. I wanted to get on a horse again and put your mind to it, put your heart to it, and you'll go far.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that the ladies have said. I think the caveat is the representation matters. So you never know, and it's something that I reinforce to Marissa, you don't know who's watching.
Right.
There are people from 8 years old to 80 years old watching, and this is your chance to have an impact and make an impression.
Right.
So I agree.
Yeah. That's a beautiful segue, because I think that we all understand that representation is very important no matter the industry, right? Whether it's in academia, in different niches in society, but especially in the horse world. So the next question is, what does representation look like for you besides just being able to scroll on the clock app or any other app and see some cowboys TikTok. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot I was not talking to Marissa. What does representation look like outside of just being able to see someone on a phone or on a TV? Anyone wanna go ahead? Be sure to plug them books, or the upcoming. Be sure to plug them books.
Well, as a benefactor, my perspective might be slightly different, right? So for me, the representation is paramount because of the access. Sure, someone can see us competing, but the difference comes in is when we get the corporate backing. When you get the backing from your community that says, all right, we're going to make sure that this grows.
Right.
And what I found is Prince George's County is, I want to make sure I say this correctly, but it has the highest percentage of the most affluent African Americans in the country, supposedly in Prince George's County, according to the census. But I will, and you know another family that's prominent in this county, us two dads are constantly asking the question, well, why aren't these kids why there is no backing?
Right.
Why are we having to work so hard to get the community behind the children, behind the industry?
Right.
You all as competitors feel the same way. So what we like to see happen is to see the corporate backing, the funding push the children forward just the same way they will finance a AAU travel basketball league
Right.
or a soccer team.
Right.
This sport, we like to see the same thing.
Yeah.
I guess representation. I would see, like, you can go to the shows, go to, get out there, like, even trail rides, like, go join your local, like, trail ride association, and then, like, just show up. There's, like, I know there's a lot of people, like, I'm in Southern Maryland, too, we're over in Waldorf, so it's, like, there's a lot of newer lesson barns popping up, and that's a lot, like, for the people, like, I think DHG,
Yes.
they just popped up, and they're helping, like, the inner city people, like, have more lessons so that they can have the exposure to horses and get into it, too. So I think, like, the representation should be, like, almost like a teaching, so we should teach each other, like, help each other. So not so much like, oh, these are the upper level, upper echelon people that have made it. I think there should also be that lower level that's like the amateur side of things that should be helping, like, bring people along.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, to go off of what Morris said, I think it has to come from a corporate backing, and I think the only way you get that is showing success, Black people being successful at the higher levels, and we have so few. I mean, in the eventing world, we have two. We have, like, Kaylana Smith-Cook, and we have Randy Ward, who are up at the top levels, and we need more to show that it is something worth backing, and that it is something that is beneficial for everyone when you back, and when you put money in, and then I think you can really see, the lower levels start to grow and see more lesson barns, but it needs, there needs to be corporate interest, and I think for that there has to be, sort of lights and flashing and, big names and big wins, because that's what corporations like. They like big wins. They like big names. So,
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So I think, just adding my perspective to that question, when it comes to representation in this industry, we can't start with the industry, right? And we have to support organizations like the STAM Foundation, who are doing their part in going out into the schools and into the communities and dropping the seeds of where Black equestrians or people interested in horses can come find those resources and come find where they can get more access, like events like this. But like you said, I mean, the funding is always a problem. The funding is always a challenge. And one of the things that we as Black people know is how to do a lot with not a lot.
Yes.
We know how to do a lot with a little bit. But having all of you out here today is one of the steps towards being able to plant the seed, so you can go out into your own communities and say, hey, I did this thing this weekend, right? It's Labor Day. I didn't have to go to work the next day, so I came out and supported the STAM Foundation and all that. So the next question is, where do you see, whether it's yourself or the horse industry in general, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years, what is something you would like to see? I know we spoke about funding, we spoke about representation. What else would you like to see?
I talk about this a lot because the sport of eventing, it's a little bit in dire straits if they don't start making the competitions more spectator friendly and more fun, and make it more like an event like this where people want to come out for the weekend when they have the free time and just watch some horses do some really, really cool things. I don't think there's a sort of push to make sure that people are having a good time at the shows, and making it fun. And I think there's a lot of things that the sport could do to make things way more fun. And that's what I would like to see. I would like to see, horse sports take on sort of the mentality that like Formula One or other niche sports have taken, that even though it's hard to access maybe the top levels, it's still fun to watch, and it's still something worth seeing, and there's just like competitors that you're rooting for and teams that you're rooting for and feeling like you're invested. And I think that's something that the horse industry really needs to tap into and
Right.
really work on that in all disciplines, in all
Right.
levels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with Sydney. It's almost like just being a competitor. Also, it's harder to find, like, you know, you'll have your trainers bring in like their whole group of, you know, their whole group of the whole barn will come with them, and then you're competing against, you know, that trainer and their kids or their students, and then it's like the industry needs to change to make almost like a regulation where you're not fighting politics. So I've found like a lot of politics and just like competing even in schooling shows. You'll have like some barns will bring in all their people and then they'll win all the ribbons, and everyone else doesn't even seem like the judges are, you know, turning their heads and batting, you know, not even batting an eye at like everyone of their whole school like winning over everyone else, even when you're competing at like you're actually doing better than their school. So I would like to see like the industry change so that like there's a little bit more of policing when you have like bigger barns come in, and then you have like amateur riders or even like someone that's up at the top but has like doesn't have the backing of a whole barn behind them to be able to win and be on, you know, even ground, like so that they can all compete equally.
Yeah.
I agree with those. I think it's very specific and dynamic, and we could get in the weeds about it.
Right.
But I think overall, and to your point that you mentioned earlier, there has to be an interest, right? So the more we can expose in the community, right? So Marissa, we've been going around all summer doing community events where I take Maya and we let the children groom Maya, not pony rides, but actually learn how to be around a horse, get over your fear of a horse. So it's your last question is kind of a synopsis of everything that we've discussed. Yeah. This issue of access, 8 to 80. I've had 60-year-old men say, "Man, I'm afraid of that horse," and that horse isn't much bigger than a dog. But then by the end of it, they're grooming her, hugging her, kissing her. So I think at each level, that helps us get to where these two have just stated, well, now we have a certain sensitivity and understanding. Because there may be some people at home right now who might be able to take the training to be a judge, right? So, but they don't know it even exists, right? And then your podcast does an excellent job of showing all aspects of the equestrian world, so it plants that seed and it raises the question, well, how can I get involved in this and in what capacity? How can I use my skill set to advance what's happening?
Awesome. And I just want to say and make an announcement to everyone having a grand old time. Our Wonderfly games are going to be headed out at 4 o'clock. So if your kiddos want to get in the little mouse ball or do archery, or get in the foam pit, make sure you take advantage of some of those things before they head out. But we're going to get into our last question, and it's my favorite question. It's the last question I ask on every episode of Black in the Saddle. When you hear Black in the Saddle, what does that mean to you? Don't rush to take the mic.
It is opening the door for the conversation. It is a powerful phrase that says, we want to share with you what happens with us, right? I don't think it's exclusive. I think it's an attempt to be inclusive, right? Sometimes what I find in our culture is, especially because, you know, this country and this continent has been dominated by a certain group of people, that if we ever make any notion of our camaraderie, then they feel like, oh, well, that's not for us. Right. But our experience in this country has been just the opposite. We've always been accepting and inclusive, even when we've been treated poorly. So Black in the Saddle, for me, says, well, yeah, come on over, let's have a conversation and let's talk about what it's like to live this kind of lifestyle, to participate together, so that we're all part of the conversation.
Yeah, I love it.
So Black in the Saddle to me means like just from lower level, like whatever you're doing, even if you're, in the saddle, driving, anything, any discipline, and you're, able to be in any environment. So and enjoy that environment. So you can be in any show, anywhere in the nation, the country, the state, wherever you can be on equal terms, equal ground, and enjoy being with your horses and just living with your horses and just having fun.
For me, it's a couple of things. One, obviously, it's sort of a pun on back in the saddle, but it's, Black people have always been in the saddle. We've always been riding horses. We've always been horsemen. And we've always been incredible horsemen, and a lot of people don't know that. And it's sort of reclaiming that, but it's also, to be Black in the saddle is to be proud of being Black while you're in the saddle. It's not hiding who you are. It's not trying to diminish who you are to try to fit into these roles, especially in judged competitions, right? It's saying, I'm here and I'm proud of who I am and I'm proud of my history, and I'm also going to ride, and I'm going to ride my best and I'm going to do my best, and that to me is what Black in the Saddle means.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sydney, Tiombe, and Morse, for being part of this panel. I really appreciate being able to share Black in the Saddle with this community, and I look forward to speaking to you more over there at our booth. If you have any questions or want to learn more about Black in the Saddle and tune into any podcast episodes, you can find us on your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that. Or you can visit blackinthesaddle.com, blkinthesaddle.com. Did you have a question? Oh, okay. You were waving a bug. I was about to say, yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you speak more to about the judging? I'll introduce you about the girls, my two daughters, who's competing on the circuit.
Yeah.
But the judging, how do we get more African Americans on the committees and on these judging? That's one reason why my oldest, who's here, who stopped riding English, is because she would rather ride against time than ride the way she's been judged.
Yeah.
So just speak to, I don't know the big industry. I'm just a parent who's putting my two Black daughters in the saddle. But I'm seeing it, I'm emailing, but I don't know if who can get that training to get more like-minded, people that look like them who are making these decisions.
Yeah.
Because we are showing up, the only Black people, and they're bringing these group of, and then the second part is, can you speak to the mental health of what it takes to be Black in the saddle? So
Yeah. So the question was, when it comes to judging, how do we get more of our kids, our students, ourselves involved with the education it takes to be a judge of a horse show, of a horse discipline? If you don't know, some disciplines are judged by people while others are judged by time. So it depends on the sport or the discipline that you are doing. But a lot of times we hear people of color say, instead of being judged by a person, instead of paying a lot of money to attend a show to be judged by a person that may have some bias, I would rather be judged by a clock. It is objective, and I either was fast or I was not fast. So does anybody want to speak to that?
I think a good first step is to have across industries people of color talk to each other. I think there's a lot of hunters don't really talk to jumpers, or don't really talk to eventers, don't really talk to saddle seat. There's actually a large Black community in the saddle seat community, and a lot of them are registered judges that could very easily take the education to become hunter judges. They could become circuit judges. And so talking to them and sort of expanding the sort of, who we're talking to, and not just focusing, how do we get more people into that industry? Look at other industries within the horse world that have a stronger Black community and say, okay, can we get some of you guys over here? Or what can we learn from you guys? And that, I think, is a big first step. But you know more from the hunter.
Well, I think it's all about, like you said, it's more the communication. There's almost a gap where people just don't know that they can become judges, and so there's that gap of information, and so they think it's this offshoot of something else that is completely like off from the actual sport. More marketing, I guess, to become a judge and actually go to school to judge like different shows, and even I think some are actually like volunteer, so you can actually like volunteer to be a judge at a show, especially like start like your schooling shows, then go up and then go up and keep going. So I think that it's like a lot of just the communication barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have something to add to that? Okay, I was going to go to his second part of the question. The second part of your question was, what does it take mentally to be black in the saddle? How do we develop the mental fortitude to show up in these spaces where we might be the only one, or we might not feel like we belong in those spaces just because time and time after again we are the only ones represented? We may experience microaggressions, we may experience bias that makes us not excited about being in that space anymore. So anybody want to speak to that? You want to go first?
When we first started, Marissa said, "Daddy, I love horses. I love competing, but I don't like the way people stare at us." Right? And this is from a child. I think she must have been 14 or so. So as her dad, my response to her was, "Sweetie, that's going to be wherever you go." So I turned it a little bit and I said, well, just because they're staring at you, they could be saying, "Wow, that sure is a beautiful horse she's riding." "Oh, wow, she sure does have a wonderful seat." So we have to be able to reframe it, as the young kids say now, right? They use this term reframe. And I'm sure that you all can speak to this much more individually, but for my kid, right, sitting in your seat, I had to reframe it. Plus it helps when they win. Right? So, you know, I've all, you know, I won't run down the resume, but God has shown us favor with the wins. So then the head is higher and the shoulders are back, but the winning comes from that commitment. So I know I'm going a long way around because I'm an old guy, and that's how we talk. It's every day in the saddle, right? That builds my confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So that it circumvents how people look at me or how I'm being treated, because I've prepared. Preparation. So the days you don't want to practice, that's the days you have to practice. It's hard to get that through to young people because we live in a microwave society and they want it instantly. But in this sport, you can't. Right? These ladies will tell you, you can't. You have to be able to put your time in every day. If I can't ride and it's raining, then I need to do groundwork, or I need to do conditioning. I need to work my hamstrings every day. And what that'll do for the young people is it'll build their confidence, because when you feel prepared and you going in prepared, it doesn't matter what everyone else does.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now Marissa wrote a book called Maya and Me about her and that little horse over there, and how she first started, she couldn't win a thing. She would cry to me and say, "Daddy, I don't want to do it anymore." You see what I mean? But I didn't let her quit. She had to keep riding. She had to keep riding. And next thing you know, they're both state champions. The horse and her. Right? Same horse. Horse wasn't trained. We trained the horse at the house. You see what I mean? And we make a mistake, and I'm going to let it go, is because we make it easy for them instead of letting them struggle. That's bigger than rodeo. That's homework. That's chores in the house. That's everything. We have to be able to give them some challenging things so they can overcome, like Sydney said, when it's not easy. But if we don't build that into them from the beginning, then they'll crash.
Yeah.
So it's the same. I agree. It's like you have to have that, almost like you're her support group. So you have to have that support group that helps balance you. And even if that support group is yourself, because I've had times where it's been myself that's been supporting me and pushing me on, and I just look at my horse. Like, my horse is my support group. So I've looked at my horse and been like, we can do this because I know we can do this. So if we like you have that bond with your horse, or even if you're leasing a horse, like you have that bond and you're working good at home, then you know you can do it somewhere else, like in the arena, in the show ring. Like you can do it. And it's like that support group of both dads or your family or your husband who's filming me right now. But you have that support group that helps build you up, and it's everyone around you that's trying to help you. And that way it kind of almost gives you blinders to the people that are, you know, looking at you a certain way. You just hold your head up high and look away from them. I've had people tell me I can't go anywhere, like with horses. I should stay a painter, don't try to ride them and compete, don't do any of that. And my mom told me that was my mom right there.
Hey, Mom.
My mom told me her story where she was in nursing school and she had her head nurse tell her she will never be a nurse. And that's what got me where I was like, well, I have these same people telling me I will never compete, I'll never have my own horses, I'll never, I won't succeed. And that kind of gave me that drive to be like, no, I will succeed, because my mom is like, she became a manager at Kaiser Permanente, like, so built up her OBGYN like department. So I know, like, if she can succeed there and she's my support group, I can succeed where my heart wants to take me.
Yeah.
A big part of it, obviously, is the horse. The horse does not care what color you are. The horse cares how you show up for them every day. The horse cares how you take care of it. The horse cares how you treat them. And at the end of the day, if I do terribly at a show, I had a show yesterday. I didn't finish my cross country. We didn't finish. It's fine. My horse is fine, and he's happy, and he loves me. And that's all that matters to me at the end of the day. And it's also, I found a way to try to make everything funny and to make myself laugh and to make things, because sometimes it's just so bleak that you're like, you can't just focus on it. You got to make it funny. You got to turn it around and make it something that at least you're sitting there and laughing about it. Like, and at least there's some sort of joy you're getting at it. And also, I'm also a little bit spiteful and petty. And when people tell me I can't do that something or that's never been done before, I go, well, watch me. Sorry.
I love that. A spite is a great motivator. It is quite the motivator for me as well. What I also like to say is that confidence is not an input. It's not what you show up with. It's an outcome. And so when you show up with the courage, when you show up with the commitment and the consistency and the willingness to try, the confidence comes out of that. And so if you say, oh my gosh, I wish I was more confident, you got to find some of the more inputs that you need to show up with, because confidence comes out of action. It doesn't start at the beginning of it. And if it starts for you, I mean, shout out to you for being confident when you showed up, okay? But most of us have to actually act and actually get through the challenge before we develop the confidence to show up again and again and again. So thank you so much for that question. I'm going to pass us back to our amazing MC, and I really appreciate y'all taking some time to check out Black in the Saddle and listen to us today. Thank you.
Thank you. You all give it up again. Give it up for Black in the Saddle.